If your password matches what you registered with, then give him the option. If not, reject what he is doing. So that particular if this is what we call a conditional statement. So the program tests what you have given to it to see if it exists. If it does not, it say that it doesn't know that password. Okay, so it will just reject your card, and then it will ask you to remove your card and go away. All right. So sometimes when you do it more than a number of times, that can also be a conditional statement that if the person types a wrong password 3 times, block the card. Okay, maybe the person is trying to steal someone's ATM and then withdraw some amount of cash. All right, so it is very common. So that is programming in the aspect of software design, programming in the aspect of data analysis. Maybe you want to find out if a condition is true. Let's say you have a data set, and then you have within the data set a particular color. Okay, so you want to say that if the glucose level is greater than 50, tag all those people and say that they are diabetic. So with such a condition, if you want to write it, only the glucose greater than 50 will not help you to solve it completely. So Python invents what we call the conditional statement, whereby we use the if statement. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Okay, so let's make progress. All right, so I think I've given a lot of the preambles, and I think I have to just move on to the real code. So the first statement in the conditional statement that we are going to consider is the if statement. All right, so this is how it works. So the if statement checks whether a condition is true and runs a block of code only when it is. So if this is true, if this condition is satisfied, do this. So that is how the syntax works. So if condition, do something. Now we know that condition is what is the Boolean operators that we learned previously. So as I told you earlier, everything is kind of a build-up of the previous one. So if the previous one you have not been engaging with the notebook, it will become difficult as time progresses because we are just building up on what we've learned previously. All right. And that's why I encourage that we all participate and also give our maximum attention to the notebooks. So provided maybe you might not be sitting right behind your computer, that's why I don't want us. I stop from allowing us to maybe do exercises in real time because maybe sometimes the place that you are you can't, but maybe you might be able to also listen and follow along a bit. But once you have the notebook, you have to take your time and then go through. So it's also part the reason why the notebook has been annotated a lot. So you can have a lot of text and everything to explain the code there so that you don't feel lost once you have it. All right, so that is it. So we have the condition. So this condition can be 2 greater than 5, any other condition that we can create with booleans. So if that condition is satisfied, do something. So it can be print something, it can be calculate something, it can be remove something, it can be delete something, it can be anything, as long as that condition is being met. All right, so let's go right away to the code. So here, this is the preamble. We said that a nurse checks whether a patient's glucose reading is high enough to warrant a flag. This is a single row decision. Later, though, we will apply it to an entire column of data set. So here, what we do is that glucose level, this is the glucose level of the patient, is 148. And here is a conditional statement. If glucose level greater than 126, and we remember that this greater than glucose level greater than 126 is what we were learning during the Boolean data types, isn't it? All right, so but before I run this code, I want to figure out. So what do you think this thing will return? This particular expression that I have highlighted. And please, what do you think it will return? What will be the outcome or the output for this particular code? true. Why? True. All right. So I think that is the perfect answer. All right. So now all that we are trying to tell Python is that if this condition here is true, then what are you supposed to do? Print flag high glucose detected. Patient requires immediate review. Now, it's the same as the syntax over here. So if we need to provide it a condition where the condition should be true. So once that condition is true, there is something that Python is going to print out. So if the glucose level is greater than 126, print or flag. So this is the print, and then you have the flag. High glucose detected. Patient requires immediate review. So you can have a whole data set whereby you have a column that contains the glucose level of the patient. They will have number of glucose level, one or two, some will be 148, some will be lesser, some, but we want a particular condition in order to categorize. So you can use this conditional statement. So this is a condition. When you print this thing, let's see it in real action. Once I run the code, you can see that flag, high glucose detected. Patient requires immediate review. Why? Because this condition is true. But provided, let's see, maybe we have 26 over here. Let's see what will happen. Nothing happens. Why? Because this condition is not true. Because the 26 over here, which when you write it here as in 26, it's never greater than 126. So it makes the condition false. And so Python is unable to print anything. However, when we change it to our real value 148 and we run, so that we have that flag, high glucose detected, patient requires immediate review. Very simple. And that is how, maybe if you are a fan of robotic movies, you can see that the robots can just give something by just an input, or a computer will give a feedback based on an input, a doctor's input, telling you that the patient is at risk or something. All right, so that is just a bit of it, and I mean, if not all of it. Okay, so let's take another example in order to build the intuition very well. So he said that multiple actions can live inside one if block. Everything else. So one thing I did not make mention of is that when we were printing after the first statement, the next statement comes with an indentation, which is not something that we've seen previously. So this indentation is crucial because it tells Python that this code here belongs to the if block. Okay, so that's why we bring a colon over here. So I want you to know the syntax very carefully. So you have the if condition and then a colon, then they do something will come else. So when you are using Jupyter Notebook or any other IDE, Python is able to recognize all those breakpoints. And so once you click enter to the next line to type your new code, which the Python should do after the condition is met, it will just give you the automatic indentation. However, if the automatic indentation is not there, you can press the space bar 4 times, or you can press the tab key and it will indent to the standard of Python. All right, so let's see something over here. So let's say sales equals to 15,200, and then the monthly target is 120,100. All right, so what, I mean, 120, sorry, 12,000. Yeah. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to see whether a condition is true. And if it is true, we print something. Previously, we just made one print, but here we are saying that you can print a lot of things and perform any kind of calculations that you want to do. So let's see it in real action. Now we are trying to see, we are trying to um, configure this particular condition to see whether it is true. If it is true, we are going to perform these tasks. So if sales, which is the 15,200, is greater than the 120, sorry, 120, okay, so let me put it that way, then I'm comfortable with that than the 12,000. So if the sales, the 15,200 is greater than the 120, which is the monthly target, then the surplus is going to be sales minus monthly target. Print target met, great month. Print surplus above target. Then Ghana cedi, then your surplus. So what the code is actually trying to do is that you have your surplus here, and then you have your sales here, and then you have your monthly target here. So we are checking for this condition. All right, so is the condition true? Is the sales value greater than our monthly target?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so since it is true, then it means that this block of code is going to run. So what does this block of code says? It says that the surplus is equals to the sales over here minus the monthly target. So sales minus monthly target will give us the surplus. So what we are trying to say is that once you run a company and then you want to find the surplus, you just deduct the sales that you've made from your benchmark, which is a 120 to 120. So here we've calculated the surplus under this if block. That is only if and only if this particular condition is true. Then we calculate the surplus and then we print target met, great month, and then we print surplus above target. And then we print the surplus, which is this one, this value over here. That's the same thing that we are printing. That's why it is not in quotation marks, okay, because it is a variable. Now let's run it and see it in real action. So because the condition is true, the sales that we made for the month is 15,200 greater than the 1200. Now it means that this code of block is going to, this block is going to run. So now we are going to create a new variable called sales, and for the sales, its value is going to be the sales value minus the monthly target. Now, once we are done, we print it out and then we print. So here, when you take the 12 12,000 from the 15,200, you're going to get 3,200. So it means that the surplus sales that came for the month was 3,200. Okay. And then the company has actually met his targets and beyond. All right. So this can also be a whole data set where you try to also figure out the sales. You compare the sales that was made, okay, the sales that was made to a benchmark sale or to a threshold, to figure out what amount of sales that the company was able to. Okay, so you can have one column which have the sales for each month, and you can run this particular code. Okay, so this one we are just doing for one data set, but for a whole column we can run. And then once we run on it, we are going to create a new column which has all the surplus that was made. So if a surplus was made, it will show. If we do not make any surplus, you are going to get a negative value, which will tell you that nothing like that was made. All right, so basically that is how the if statement works. All right. So let me ask if there is any question before I move on to the next one. Any questions so far? Any question? Okay. All right. So silence means consent. So I'm making progress. Okay. So I have a short exercise here. All right, so let's see for another set. So normally, if a condition satisfies, we've learned about that. But what if the condition does not satisfy? The condition is not true, it's false. What do we do? So Python has to have a way of handling false statements. Okay, all right. So here is the syntax: if condition, do something. Else means that if this condition is not true, do something else. So let's see that one also in action. So we have score here, which represents the score. So here is a preamble. A student either passes or fails. There is no third category here. So we are trying to figure out which of the students passed the exam and which of them failed. So we have the score over here, and the value of the score is 64, and we have a pass mark over here, and the value is 70. All right, so this pass mark is kind of a threshold that a student must get a score beyond it in order for the student to be tagged pass. Or else, if a student gets a mark, any mark below the 70, then the student is going to be tagged failed. So you can have a whole column where you have the student marks. And so how are you going to tag them fail and then pass? Are you going to go through it one after the other and say that, okay, this one is 70, pass. This one is not 70, fail. It's less than 70, fail. This one is this. So once you do that, it will take an endless time. It will take, yeah, it will take endless time for you to actually solve it. So Python has a way of handling that. So how does it handle it? So you see that the pass mark is equal to 70. So here we cannot use greater than, but we have to use greater than or equal to. And we saw this when we were learning about the booleans. So we are saying that if the score of the student is greater than or equal to the pass mark, which is 70, result equals to pass. Else, result equals to fail. Print score, comma score, the score of the student. Then this is just a formatting method. Then you print result. Then you print the actual result of the person. So here, the actual result could either be the pass or fail, what provided if the person's marks satisfy this condition or not. Let's see that one in action. So here we are going to get score is 64. Then this is a formatting something. All right, so that's why it is in quotation marks, so it represents a string. So result, fail. So the person got 64 and the result fail. So let me try to create a very simple program that helps you to check for the score of a person, whether the person is supposed, fails or the person passes his or her exams. So with that, let me just use the same input and call it input underscore score, whereby we have our input, and then here we see that type the score of the student. Okay. All right. So here you're going to just say if score. So let's say here now our benchmark, our threshold or the pass mark. Let me use threshold for it because we've created a variable called pass mark. I don't want to override that. So threshold is equals to, let me use a threshold and then the mark to describe it much more better. So threshold mark equals to, let's say now we've made it 30. Okay, let me make it 40. Okay. All right, so what that we are saying that if you get anything below 40, you have trailed. You have trailed. Yeah. You have trailed. So that's the threshold. Okay, so the score of the student, we will input it. Okay, all right, so let's just write our if and else statement. So if input underscore score, if this input score is greater than or equal to 40, which is our threshold. So let me just use the threshold score instead of the 40. But sorry, threshold mark, because that's why it's there. Then I'll bring my colon. Okay, so once I press enter, it just give the indentation automatically. So print, sorry, let me use the result, the same thing. So result equals to, or do something. So the do something is result equals to pass, has not trailed, okay? Else, now note something that the if and the else are on the same line, but the action that you want to provide, do, if the condition is true, has to be indented. All right, so else what do you have to do? The result equals to fail. It means that the student has failed the exams. He has to repeat the class again. Very tragic. All right, so what they are going to do is the same formatting. So print score. Right, so the score, I just, it's a string, so score, okay. And then we say input score, okay, comma. Then we do that and then use the same formatting as it did. All right, so you see that result, okay, and then we put the result there. Let's see how this code is going to behave. So here is going to give us the opportunity to type something. All right, so however, when we type 34, we are going to get an error, I guess so. And the reason is that the 34 over here, if you could remember, I told you that the values that you put, you pass you pass into your input function becomes a string. So as a result of that, we need to convert that particular string here to an integer. So I'm going to ask, how do we convert a string to an integer? I think we talked about this. How do we convert a string into an integer? What do we use? How do we do that? And please, can anyone help us to do this? If you want to convert a string to an integer, what do you do? Okay, so I guess maybe you've forgotten. So we have what we call the integer, int. So when you use the int, I think when you use the int on any string, so this will give you a string. Instead of creating a new variable, I'm just going to add it right away. So int, which is integer. In other words, convert this value to an integer. Okay, so this input value, convert it to an integer. So that's how we convert a string to an integer. You can refer to the previous notebooks to figure that one out. All right, so integer, so it means that we convert this input to an integer. Now let's type the value here. So I'm going to type 60. I'm not supposed to get an error because now this 60 that I type here, though was a string, has been converted into an integer by this integer function. Okay, all right, so here 60 is actually greater than or equal to 40. And so that condition is satisfied. So it means that this result equals to pass will work. However, this one will not work. And so once this one will not work, then it will come to here, this last line. So print score. And then the input is what? 60. And then we just bring this dash and the result is pass. However, let's say the person typed 23, so 23 is less than, so fail. So this program actually works. Any number, it can just work it out for you simply. So maybe the person managed to get maybe 39. Okay, is going to get fail. What if the person had 40? What do you think would be the answer? Anyone to help us with that? If the person had 40, it would be passed. Okay,
Yeah, it will be
let's
passed.
see it.
So
Okay, it's passed. All right, because it's greater than or it's equal to 40. We satisfy the very condition that we have here. So you can see, I would like to reiterate it again. So please, everything that we are doing is a build up of the previous one. So if you have not been doing those notebooks or you have not been having time to go through, please have time to go through because like day in and day out, the truth of the matter is that the time is passing. Okay. And as time moves on, each and every time we are learning something new. Okay. Because if you don't do that and it piles up, you see that you become very overwhelmed by even thinking of going to go through module 1, 2, 3. No, Even that thought alone will become a mental resistance. You can't go back and learn, and you might not have the most of it. All right, so I would like to reiterate this, okay? Though there is a saying that computer programming language is going, I mean, AI is going to kill computing jobs and so data analysis and everything. Yeah, AI can do a lot today. However, you have to understand what is going on. Okay, the understanding is always key, and that's one. It helps you because whatever output that the AI will generate, you have to validate it before you send it. Even when you use AI to write any letter or anything, you don't just say that AI has written. So, as well as you visit Google, Google will tell you that Gemini is an AI, it can make mistakes. Okay, so that's the reason why the human intuition, human level of understanding is also important. Okay, all right. So I will encourage you to do well to participate. If probably you actually want to make the most out of what you are learning and maybe use it in whatever endeavors that you want to use it because it's crucial. These are some of the things that big programs run. Okay. All right. So let's make progress. So we are moving on to another example. Here we have units sold equals to 320 and then a threshold equals to 300. Now we are looking for a condition over here. What is this condition? If this unit sold, which is this one, is greater than the threshold that we are supposed to sell per day. So provided this is a company where it makes daily sales on different products. So this is the sales on for one product. And maybe we have a column. So in this case, we are dealing with it on single data basis. However, um, in real analysis, you will have a whole column with tons of values over here. But the truth of the matter is, the very thing that you are performing on the one, it is the same thing that you repeat it for all the columns. So if you are able to understand how to do with one, you can do with many, even millions of data, you can perform the same analysis. All right, so let's look at the condition very well, critically now. So you have your unit sold over here, which is this. Is that unit, if this unit sold over here is greater than the threshold over here. So this is the condition. If, and then a condition. Is this condition true? If it is true, then label equals to in demand. So we have thousands of products that we sell from our shops. And then this is maybe at the end of the day, we are looking at the unit that has been sold and then everything. Maybe we have a generated report, a CSV file or an Excel file that has this data. So we want to figure out for each of the products. We cannot go through each of them and say that, okay, bags of biscuits, they satisfied, bags of whatever, they satisfied. No. So programming is supposed to make life easy. So that's how it does it. It compares the unit sold, which is this, and its value. So actually this value to the threshold, which is this value. If that is true, you label the product in demand and then you print something, product status. Then you have this label, which is this, and then consider increase in stock because people like to buy it. Else, label which is here slow moving, consider a promotion. So maybe you have a product which is slow moving, consider a promotion. So this, when you have a whole data set, and maybe you have product and you know their threshold, how much you are supposed to sell per day, you can run an analysis on them, and you can generate a report which tells you the product that the people are buying more and the product that needs to be promoted with just this lines of code. So let's try to see it in real action. So once you print it, it said that product status in demand, consider increasing stock. Why? Because the unit sold is greater than the threshold. However, if the unit sold was, sorry, it's 200, and let's run it and see. So the product is slow moving, consider a promotion. So maybe we like to bring those products in front so that people can see it more and then buy it. So this is how the analysts work. Okay, and that's how it is. All right, so basically we've done with the if and else statement. So we are moving on to it's kind of a question, a conditional statement which you write to buttress kind of the if statement. So if the condition is true, do something. L if you can have thousands of L ifs. So if the product, if the number of products sold is this, L if it is greater than that, L if it's less than that. So you look out for another condition. So if the first condition misses, look out for another condition. If that one also misses, you can use look out for another condition by just using the L if. But if all those conditions are not true, then you use the else. So the else is the opposite of all conditions. If the condition is not, if the condition provided is not true. So glucose level equals 118. If glucose is less than 70, status equals to hypoglycemic. Or if glucose is less than 100, status equals to normal. So it means that the person's glucose level is normal, but the person has low glucose level. And then L if the patient's glucose level is less than 126, status equals to pre-diabetic, else status equals to diabetic. Now let's look at it in real action. So this one I'm not going to run because I've given some explanations. I would like you to read this code and predict what the outcome will be. So what do you think will be the outcome? What do you think will be the outcome? Um, Please, hello. What do you think will be the outcome of the code? Okay. It will be pre-diabetic.
Daniel, I feel the person will be pre-diabetic. Hey, sorry. Somebody is calling me.
Hello, Grace. Come again. Your network is gone. And please, okay, as we wait for you, if you have any answer, you can also bring it forth. What do you think will be the answer? Okay, so James, yours is recorded. Okay, so who else? What do you think?
Pre-diabetic.
Yes. Yeah, I'm doing games also. Yeah, to
I
be
also think
present.
it will be pre-diabetic because it's less than 126.
Okay, all right. So
So the glucose
let's.
level is 1.8. So the status will be pre-diabetic.
Okay, so let's run it and validate our answer from the terminal. Okay, so we are right. So the answer is pre-diabetic. So I guess you now understand all this. So it's very simple. We are just building up on what we learned earlier. This condition over here is a boolean, and then when you add this if or else statement to it, we call it conditional statement. This is a variable, and to the variable we assign to it a string called hypoglycemic. This is a glucose, which represents a value over here and kind of a variable. And we've assigned to it a numeric data type, in this case, an integer. And we are working with all these values to get at all these beautiful results, which we can simulate in real life. All right, so please, I hope you understand. It's very simple. If you are following along, by the time that we will start working on data, you will truly build a good intuition about it so that it will be something that is part of you. So even if you use AI in your research, you know what it is doing. And any outcome, you understand that, oh, I know why this is that, and maybe what can be changed in the code to make it much more better because you understand the process by which the code is working. All right, so we have another one. So let's take this quiz. Let's take this one to let's predict what the answer will be.
Daniel,
So
pardon me. I want to ask, can you explain those things in the bracket? When you write the print, what follows? Is it compulsory to always write the strange and include the other stuff to it? I don't know how to generate those ones. So if you can explain them for me.
okay, yes, please. So these things within the string over here. So these ones, we know that any string, anything within brackets is a string. So and this print statement takes code. Okay, so I cannot write anything there. So it's more of like, let me just create a cell below this one and then demonstrate it proper. Okay. So let me convert this one to a markdown by just either clicking here or using this one. So what I'm trying to say is that if the condition is satisfied, okay, so this print statement is say like print the glucose level, okay, and print a colon here, and then that glucose level you have to type it. So that glucose level, which is this, so 118. Then do this. Sorry, so do this. Then type status. Okay. Then do this, and then also print the status whether the person is. So in this case, we said it is pre-diabetic. Okay, so definitely, I mean, apparently, no, definitely, this is what we are trying to tell Python to do. Okay, all right. So we are telling him that if provided all the conditions that we've written over here is satisfied, this is what we want it to print. Print glucose level, and you should print the glucose level, which is this one, and then you should print the status based on which of them satisfy the condition. Okay, so in this case, we want to print this. So ideally, we can put all these as a string, okay, into two quotation marks. But however, when you do that, we have to type some of the values by ourselves because we will not be able to print the status over here or the glucose level by using the variables. That is the reason why you can see that from here, some of them have quotation mark, but some of them do not. So what that we are going to do is that here, okay, this one is it's a variable, which is the glucose level. And glucose level, because it's a variable, we don't need to pass it through a string. And therefore, let's bring one string here so that we will have this one alone. So that will be the glucose, and that's okay. So the glucose level. All right, but this thing is a string. Okay, we need it. So we separate it with commas. Okay, so this there's a string on it too. But this one too is a string and it's not a variable, so we have to put it in quotation marks. Okay, up to this side. But not this one because this pre-diabetic is the status from these conditions. Okay, all right. So here we are going to replace it with the status. Okay, so definitely, and we bring a comma here. Okay, so that Python will know that this is a variable, this is a string. Okay, so definitely that is what we are doing. It's a way of presenting our results in a way that will make it more appealing or make sense. Because here we can only print pre-diabetic. It doesn't mean anything. But here we are saying that glucose level is 118 and the status of the patient is pre-diabetic. Please, I hope you are getting it. So it is just a way of trying to express your results. How do I want to express my results? Okay, I want to say, if this is that, if this condition is satisfied, print this. The glucose level of the patient is this, and the status of the patient and the diabetes status of the patient is pre-diabetic. So it is a way of format. So it is a way of formatting. Okay. So we are trying to format our results without forgetting these things that we can just print. Grace, I hope I've been able to explain to your
Yeah,
satisfaction.
it's understandable. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so you can just try. Yes. Okay. Hmm. Okay. For this one, for this glucose. So you wanted the color to change. You made wait, so was it in the same with Jupiter, right? Okay, so I think the formatting has to do with I mean every ID okay has a way of handling the formatting, but I mean it's not any big technical something. Okay, it's just a way that they present it. Okay, please you get it. Yeah, so it's just a presentation. But I think mostly in Jupyter Notebook, every variable is kind of black like that. So when you create a variable, it becomes black. But when you are using, I mean, these keywords and then this and that, I mean, it has a way of tagging everything in order to differentiate. So what that you need to do is to just follow along if you know what you're writing. I mean, the coloration is not, though it can help you to learn, but it's a good observation. But I haven't observed it myself. That's why I'm unable to actually account for why it changes. Uh-huh. But I mean, it doesn't make anything. Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's why. Exactly. So the VS code is different from the Jupyter. So that's why, because it's a different uh, ID. And this Jupyter in your browser too is different. So they have a way of handling each of those statements. All right, but it's not a big deal. All that you need to do is to just write the code. All right, so let's solve this one and then let's make progress. So please, this one, what do you think the code will output? What will be the output? So we are classifying. So initially we did either fail or pass, but now we are classifying into A, B, C, D. Maybe if the person had A, B, or maybe F, the person has failed. Very tragic. It can be. So what do you think will be the output? Mhm. Please, what do you think will be the outcome?
I, th-
Grade B. Okay, who else?
I also think it will be grade B since it's greater than 70.
Okay. Okay, and who else?
So the score will be 73 and the grade will be B.
Grade will be B. Okay, now let's run it and let's see what will be the output. Okay, so to be B. All right, very simple and very fun. I mean, programming is fun because once you begin to do these things, you can apply it to real life. And using the input data, you can actually do a lot. Okay. All right, so that is interesting. I'm glad that you understand the syntax very well. Okay, so you remember that during the time that we were talking about Boolean operators, so we deal with some of these conditional operators, which is the and, or, and not. Okay, so I thought I have brought it here again. So the and both must be true, okay, or at least one must be true, not. It reverses the true value. So now let's see that one in real action. Okay, so income equals to 450. Sorry, I'm going to say 450, 100. So 45,000, and then the credit score equals to 720. Okay, so if income greater than 30,000, Right, 30,000. Okay. And credit score greater than 650. Print loan approved, all criteria met. Else print loan declined, one or more criteria not met. So now this can be a company that wants to give out loans to people based on a particular condition. So you can have the number of people who have applied for the loans in a data set. So one column will be the names of the people, another column will be their income, and then another column will be their credit score. And then the condition that you are trying to run on the data set is that if so you have a third column, and in that third column you are running a particular condition. If the income is greater than 30,000 and credit score less is greater than greater than or equal to, and the credit score is greater than or equal to 650, we have to approve the loan. So you tag the person loan approved, all criteria met. Else loan declined, one or more criteria not met. So when you run this code, okay, let me ask, what do you think will be the output for this code?
I think here the loan will be approved and all criteria met.
The loan will be approved.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Who else have any answer? Will the loan be approved or not? Please, who else? Who else can just okay. Who else? Maybe there's a last person who would like to also give out his or her suggestion. What do you think would be the answer? Would be the outcome? All right. So let's run it and see. So loan approved, all criteria met. Okay. All right. Why? Because the income is greater than the 4,000. Sorry, the threshold, which is the 30,000, and then the credit score is also greater. So we approved. So you can see you have a column where you have loan approved, loan approved, loan approved. So if you want to figure out how many people, you can just filter that. Okay, let me just show a representation of that in Excel so that you can actually have a feel of that. And however, though I'm just using those financial stuff, you can apply it to any biological data set. Just that I'm not finding any context in the science or research field which will be more applicable to some of these common things. That's why I keep on using them. But however, you can you can work outside this context and apply it to your field of interest, and it's going to work similarly. So you can have, let's say, name here, you can have income, then you can have credit score. Okay, all right. So typically, this is how it happens. So maybe name Abu, Kofi. Let me give it last one, John. Okay. So their income. This one is this 0 0. This one is that 0 0. And the other one, sorry, this one is that. Sorry, there's that. Okay, 1 2 3. Okay, and then the credit score will be 340, 40. Okay. All right. So the third column will be status. Okay. And in this place in Excel, you can just run some kind of some what's the name formula here, and then you can copy it along or this one. Okay. I think once you do and you double click like this, it will fill all these places with a new status by checking for the condition. So likewise, that is the same thing that you are doing in Python. So here in Python, that will be the code that we wrote earlier, which checks whether the income is greater than 30,000 and also the credit score is greater than is it 450 or kind of something, a value, though I've forgotten. And if it is true, it just tags them. If it is not true, it tags them differently. So once you are done, you can just filter that place to get all those that they have been approved for the loan and call them that your loan has been approved. That's very simple. Okay, so you can use it in, how do we call it? Many different field and then also discipline. All right, so let's make progress and then let's see. Okay, so back to our work. So that's that. So we have a last one over here, which checks for, so the patient try age and it's flag if either reading exceed a threshold. Okay. All right. So temperature is considered 7.2. Blood pressure is 145. If temperature greater than, okay, it's all right. So I would like you to solve this one too. So please kindly go through the code and let's see. All right. If patient temperature is greater than 38.5 and then blah, blah, blah. So please, what do you think will be the outcome? I think I need to cut off this code so that you read it. Okay. What do you think will be this one? And please, what will be the outcome?
Okay, I think the outcome will be the temperature will be 38.5, and yeah, let's say the hello.
So with the code under the print, under the if will be, which of them will be printed? Is it the code under the if or the code under the else?
The code under the if.
Under the if. Okay. Who
Yeah.
else has anything? Do we
So
second
the
that?
temperature will be like 32.72, and the
Mm-hmm.
pressure will be 145.
Okay.
So the patient flagged for review.
Okay. All right. So let's see that one in action. So let me just print um, my comments here. Okay. So patient flag for review. All right. So because the temperature, though it's not greater than 38.5, however, the blood pressure is greater than 145 because one of the conditions is true. That's why, because that is what the or does. All right. Okay. All right. So I hope we now understand it much better. Okay. Now let's look at the not function. So we know that the not actually reverses a condition. Okay. All right. So it's verified equals to false. If not is verified. So if not is verified, it means that if not false, so it means that true, print something. So it means that this is going to be printed. Okay. So that's very simple. And then this is useful when your data stores a flag as true or false. So there could be a column whereby you have booleans as your as the outcome of your data, whether true or false. Okay, so you can say that run a code along throughout the whole entire column and say that if it's verified equals to false. Maybe that particular column talks about is the person verified true or false. So you have that true or false, maybe about 1,000 of them in your column. And then you are saying that if not is verified, okay, so it means that if the person is verified, then print account is not verified, access restricted, because this particular condition here is false. Okay, and then you said that if this condition is false, by using the not true, because we know that the if block, the if runs code that satisfy the true condition. Okay, so this must be true in order for this particular thing to work. So we first assign it to it's verified because that is the actual value. So if not is verified, so if not this print account is verified, access restricted. So this can be seen in, let's say a database, okay? So maybe you have a database and you want to find maybe those that their account has been are supposed to be blocked and those that their accounts are not supposed to be blocked because they are verified and unverified. Or maybe you have a data set, maybe you have a patient, maybe in your work or your research, you have some samples that are verified, some are unverified. So you want to figure it out. So you can just run this particular condition by using the not, which inverts this one from the false to true, making this condition true. If this condition is true, then the block under the if condition will be run to satisfy this. Okay. All right. If that is the case, let's make it true and see what will happen when you run. Nothing happens because the not is verified will convert that one to true. So it means that if not true, so it means that if false, but the if does not run false statement, it only runs true statement. All right. So once you run that, you're going to get account is unverified. So here in plain English, if not verified, restrict access. Okay. Is verified equals to false. So if not verified, if the person is not verified, restrict the account. Tell the person that his account is restricted. Okay, I mean, we can see that when we are trying to log in into something. So sometimes Google will tell you that password error, your password is incorrect. So what I was trying to say is that it could be a simple code. If not password, I mean, your password is not correct. So print something. So okay, I think we have time. So let's try and practice that. So password. Okay, so let me say password equals to. Okay, so let me use an input and just say type your password here. Okay. Now, this is our input password, okay? We are running a particular condition. If password let me use this particular, okay. If not password equals to this, print no password. Okay. If not, okay. Let me make the logic a bit more clear. All right, so password. Okay, so if password is not an empty string, print this is your password. Okay. Let me call it password. Password. Okay, good. Let's run it and see. Let me just type in a dummy pen. Okay. Okay, so now let's look at what I just did over here. So I said password equals to input, type a password here. If not password equals to this. So here, this kind of an empty string over here. So we are saying that if password equals, I mean, this particular statement, this condition, if we have a reverse of this condition, that is, if your password is not empty, print this is your password and then print the password, as we can see over here. But let's say we take off the off not from there. Okay, let me just type something. Okay, you see that nothing was printed because the condition now says that if password is empty, you print, but our password was not empty. We actually type something. So the not actually reverses that particular condition. So if not your password, so if your password is not empty, so instead of saying it that in programming terms or in syntax as in Python, we say if not password equals to empty. In other words, if your password is not empty, print this as your password. So once you run and then we type anything as your password, Python is going to print it exactly for you. Okay. All right. So sometimes some people can use this method to get your password. Okay. So they can write a very simple program. You can visit a link and then they will tell you type your password, your email, and your password. Sometimes it doesn't lead you to anywhere. Sometimes when you type it, they said maybe something is blocked or they will redirect you to a new page and you are thinking that maybe the thing is not working. That is how some people used to take people's password. So they will take your email and your password and then they will use your email against it on various sites that they think that you might be there. Okay, so if you use your real email password, maybe your Google, they can access your Google account with that. Okay. However, Google has two-way verification, so you have to verify on your phone before the person can get access. But it's a way that people also can write just this simple code to get people's password. However, that's just by the way, it's just an example. So please let us not try it on people. Okay, so that is that. That's what the not does. So it
Did not
just
try it.
reverses your condition, provided it's true. Okay, so let's say this one, and let's predict the answer. Okay, so now age equals to days, years equals to 4, applied before equals to false, qualifying age. All right, so let's check this block of code um, and tell me, look at it and tell me whether is this if block code that will be run or the else block code that will be run. Any response so far? Or you are reading? Okay.
I think the applicant qualifies for the senior track.
Okay, the applicant qualifies for the senior track. Okay, that's the answer. So the if block will be run. Okay, please, who else? I think it's a bit complicated, but when you take your time, you can. Okay, all right, so let's run it and let's see. All right, since time is fast spent. So, okay, you can see that here, instead of writing our condition here, we just assign our condition to a variable called qualifies. And what is it? You say that age greater than 28 and years greater than 3 and not applied. So we are looking for three things. We are finding out whether these conditions are true. If they are true, then you are printing this. If they are false, you are printing that. So let's see for the age 29 is greater than 28. Okay, the years, and all of them should be true before we can execute this particular block of code. All right, so the years experience 4, which is greater than 3, and not applied before. So we reverse this one from applied before, which is false, to true. It means that all the three satisfy the condition. So definitely we are supposed to find applicant qualified for senior track, just as Grace said. All right, so I think it's very simple. So let's make progress because we are finishing before the 8. Okay. All right, so this one we've met it before. Okay, in when we try to figure out whether a value is a member of a list, or a value is a member of a tuple, or a value is a member of a dictionary or a set. So we use the in. So value in, and we also have the not in. So the not will just reverse the in condition. So value in, value not in. Okay. All right. So value in a collection, which could be a list or whatever, and value not in a collection, which will be any data structure. All right. So now let's look at it. We have active regions equals to greater than some regions in Ghana. Sorry, yeah, regions in Ghana, Greater Accra, Ashanti, Western, Eastern, and then Northern. And then you say the applicant's region equals to voter. So we want to figure out whether the applicant's region is in the regions which are active or we are actively engaging. Okay. All right. So if applicant's region in active region, print, applicant's region is covered, application can proceed. Else, print region, applicant's region is not in the active coverage area. So this can be a data set, and then maybe you are asking people to fill particular form, and then maybe this particular form, maybe there is some kind of training or something, and then they said that there should be applicants from these active regions, Greater Accra, Ashanti region. Someone is from Bota. The person decided to apply. Maybe luck could find the person. Okay, but mostly some of these things they don't manually check and see that you are from Bota. No, they just have those, data sets. So they just run on your column to see is applicant in active region. If not, you have been eliminated already before those that they qualify will be considered. All right. So with this condition, since the first condition is true, is false, it means that we have to come to the else statement. So the else block will be run, which is applicant's region. It's not in coverage area. It's not in the active coverage area. So voter, because the person entered voter. However, if the person managed to type, let's say Ashanti. All right, so you can see that now Ashanti covered, so can proceed. It's very simple and very interesting. All right, so this is a kind of a conditional statement. When you add the if or the else to it, becomes, it's a condition. So when you add the if and the else to it, becomes a conditional statement. So we have something like this. So flag IDs, current patient ID. If patient ID in flag IDs, okay, so please let's solve this one quickly and then let's move on. Okay, I think for the sake of time, let me just run through. When you have the notebooks, then you try. So here you have flag ID. So if current, which is this current ID in flag ID, if this value in these values, what you are supposed to do is to one in patient, current ID has incomplete records, manual review required. Else, you just see if the condition is true, the if block will, if it is false, this one will. So because the condition is true, this one actually runs. Okay. And as you go through the code, you can find a lot of instances where you can actually apply this. All right, so what data type is this, please? What's data structure? Yeah, what data structure is this particular highlighted one? Please, what's data structure? Hello? Okay, what data structure is that? The one that has been highlighted. Yeah, this actually. What data structure is that? Okay, so it's the set. All right, that's good. Okay, so let's make progress. Okay, so here we also have another data set. And please tell me what data set, sorry, data type, data structure is this? We have a data set over here. What data structure? What kind of data structure is this kind of? Is this data structure over here? This what is it? Is what? Yeah, hello. Anyone with the answer? It's what this kind of data structure is called. Okay, it's a dictionary. Okay, perfect. So what we are trying to do is that if phone in customer record, so we have the customer record, which is a dictionary that contains the name, which is the key, and then the value, Kofi Mensa, Tia Gold, email. Okay. All right. So we are saying that if phone in customer record prints phone, comma, customer record phone, and I hope you remember this particular code from the dictionary. Okay. So we are saying that if this phone is part of the keys in the dictionary, which is the customer record, then print phone and then the customer ID underscore. So the phone, you're going to print the phone brand. So here, if there is phone, that's what it's going to do. Else, print no phone number on file for customer ID name. So let's see what will happen. All right, perfectly. Our code is working nicely. So it was looking out for a condition. What was the condition? Is phone part of the keys in the dictionary? And you can see that there is no phone over here. So because there is no phone, you see that no phone number on file for the customer ID, sorry, the customer record. And then we want to return the I and the value for the key name, which is this one. So he gave us Kofi Mensa. So definitely when I mean, those that they like to use the internet a lot, you see a lot of these things when you are looking out for something, they'll tell you what you're looking for does not exist. And these are some of the conditional statements that they use. Okay. All right. So there are some exercises there for you. Then this time I have some empty cells below them. So you can just, once you read and then you start solving below without you creating it manually. Okay, so I think let me see. Oh, okay, we are almost done. All right, so we'll finish on time. Okay, so we have something that we call the none. None is not, it's a value. Okay, it's a value that you can assign a variable to. But it's kind of, it's not zero though, but Python consider it missing. Okay, kind of a missing number. And we know that a missing number is never zero. When you don't have any, you zero is a number. It means that it is zero. But a missing number, we don't know. It could be anything. So Python use none to represent missing numbers. So in your data set, you can have none, N-O-N-E. But however, in real life, they use N-A-N, which represents not a number. Okay, this is not a number, meaning that Python does not know what it is. However, the small intuition I want you to build here is that the none represents a value that we don't know. It's neither zero. Okay, so because it's neither zero, we don't know anything. Python cannot use it to perform arithmetic operations. So when you have a none in your data set and you want to perform an arithmetic operation on your data set, it will not work out. It's going to give you an error because this none is neither a value. We don't know what it is. At least I hope you are getting what I'm trying to say. All right. So as a result of that, if you have such values in your data set, you can remove them. All right. So let's see the none in actions. Okay. So we can also use the is none or not none to check whether the value is none or not. So in your missing, let's say you can run that particular code, is none on your data set. So when you run is none, it's a condition that you're trying to look out for. So Python looks through your column to figure out those that their values were not inserted. We don't know their values, and it can pick up all the is none for you. All right, let's see that in action. So you have a glucose and it's none, simulating a missing reading. We don't know. Okay, if glucose is none, print glucose reading is missing, flag for follow-up. Else, if glucose is greater than 126, print this, else this. Now, there is some upgrade of the code over here. Now, you see that we've written another if-else statement under the else block. So that is what, Python does, or that's one of the abilities of Python. You can run a nested code, though we will see that one shortly. However, I want you to pick it from here so that once we get there, we don't struggle a lot. So here we say that if this is none, print this. Else, if it is not, we want to check for some conditions. So what that condition? Else, if glucose is greater than 126, print this, else print something like this. So it's first, what Python does is that it looks for this condition. Is the condition true? If it is true, it satisfies this. Else, if the condition is false, it comes to this block of code to check satisfy. So in this case here, we know that our glucose is none. So the first condition is true. So once you run, you're going to have glucose reading is missing, black for follow-up. Okay, so this can be a doctor working in at your hospital, and maybe though normally we have software that does this or something, but maybe you can you have a report, okay, and then maybe you are looking through it on your computer. So once we get to a place where we learn how to upload your file, you can upload it and look out for all missing values, and then you can get the contact of the patient to follow up on them. Why is it that their glucose this thing is missing, to follow up in order to help in the diagnosis. So I mean, it's very crucial and very important. I mean, very useful, provided you know how to use it. You can apply it to your basic tasks and make it very easy to do. All right, so that is that. So let's see another one over here. So revenue is none, cost equals to 4,200. If revenue is not none, okay, okay. All right, so for the sake of time, I would like to make progress on this.
I think it will be the
So,
else book. Yeah.
okay, the else block. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so we have the else block over here because the condition over here was reversed.
Berarti bukan deh, yang bukan deh. Motif sudah kau era mau dunia jambak ini, itu benar benar nyanyi. Itu yang mau ada juta kau, emang mau juta kau, akhirnya kan orang na ya.
Hello, Kalima, please kindly mute yourself for us, okay? Ibrahima, yeah, sorry. All right, so we have that. So you can, when you run it, I mean, they're going to print the revenue unavailable because this is none, okay? But the true condition is if it's not none, but it's actually none. So making that one, this particular condition false for this particular revenue data type, okay? That's that. All right, so why is the rest of the notebook? Sorry, I don't know. There are things here, but they've just gone. So please, kindly give me a moment. Okay, let me start sharing for now. So we started a new one previously where we have some nested conditions under the else block. So you can say that if glucose is not none, if glucose is greater than 126, if glucose greater than 100, print something, else print this, else print this. You get, see, I just want you to follow along. So you have this, print this, else. Or else if this particular condition is not true, come and print this. So what Python does is that it looks for the first condition. Is it true? If it is true, then it comes to this one. Is this one true? If it is not, it checks for this one. Is this one true? If it is not, then it prints this one. But provided if this or this is true, it will give out its printing. It will print out its particular print session as attached to that block of code. All right. Or else, if this first condition is not true, it will forget these things and come here and come and print this one for you. So now we have 148 over here. So if glucose is not none, so is glucose none? No. It's not none. So it means that this particular condition is true. So it's going to run this block of code. If glucose is greater than, is the glucose greater than or equal to 126? Yeah, it satisfied this. So definitely, I think this one should be printed. Let's run it and see. Okay, so diabetic range, immediate review need because this condition was true, and it start to check for this condition because this condition, first condition is true. That's why it checks for this. But let's say it is 120. So 120 is going to print actually the second one, pre-diabetic, and so forth. Okay, so once you have the notebook, you can actually rehearse with that. And this is what we call the nested loop. Sorry, the nested conditionals, because you have a condition, and within the condition, you have a condition. And even within this condition, you can still have a condition. So you can build a condition like a tree. Okay, it's more of like a decision tree. Okay, if this and this is that, branch to this. If not, branch to that. If this and this is that. So it looks for your condition, checks whether it's true, it performs something. Kind of a decision tree that we did when we were in primary school. It's the same thing that the Python is also doing over here. More of like, okay, let's see something over here. So a shipping eligibility check. First, confirm the region is active, then check the order of the value. So this kind of algorithm that we are trying to use to solve this problem, shipping eligibility. So this can be a part of a very big program for, let's say, a logistic company. We want to check whether the ship, we want to check for, want to perform eligibility check, shipping eligibility check. So in this case, this could be just a part of the code, and there's an algorithm that we are going to use. First, confirm the region, confirm whether the region is active, then check the order value for the shipping. Region equals to Ashanti, order equals to 350, active region is greater Accra, Ashanti, and then Western. If region in active regions, print region active, checking delivery terms. If order value greater than 200, print order qualifies for free delivery. Okay, so sometimes some websites, they tell you that when you purchase something above this, you're going to get a free delivery in this particular location. So basically, all that the code is doing is what we have over here. So they have a database that have the regions that have been selected or places that has been selected. So once you fill your data, you tell them this is the place I'm coming from, and you make the purchase and everything, and then they calculate for the total value. They just run this particular condition. What is your region? So if your region is in the active regions, and if your order value is greater than the value, the threshold value, then you print order qualifies for free delivery. So here, if it's something like, so you are going to see that, okay, you have a free delivery. So we are going to deliver it for you for free. Else, print standard delivery fee apply. So that is if the value is not greater than 200, but he is in active region. However, if the first condition is not true, so if the person who is making the order is not in the active regions, delivery not available in region at this time. So we see these things every day. And basically, when you go through, this is the very code that they are running. Okay, so region active because Ashanti is spot. Okay, all right. And then also other qualifies for free delivery because the 350 over here is greater than your 200. Okay, so you see that applying it to raw data sets. So maybe we have a raw data set, okay, a dictionary, which represents a raw data set. Okay, all right. So we have the ID, which is P005, name, Kwesi Osei, and then age and all that. So step one, classify. So what's our way? A single patient record stored as a dictionary. We will classify the patient and decide on a recommended action. Okay. All right. So step one, if patient glucose. So if patient glucose, whereby the glucose is a key. So actually it is the value. So if patient glucose is none, print state a glucose status equals to medicine. If patient glucose is less than 100, glucose status equals normal. L if patient glucose level is greater than 126, sorry, it's less than 126, pre-diabetic, else diabetic. Okay. Then it comes to the blood pressure. So it is checking for all these conditions. So we started with the glucose. When it comes to the blood pressure, it does the same conditions. Now the third one, so we want to determine the risk. If glucose status equals to diabetic and BP status equals to high, risk equals to critical. L if glucose status in diabetic, pre-diabetic. So now look at what we have done here. This is a list, isn't it? Okay, and within the list, we've created two values, which are strings, diabetic and pre-diabetic. And so you say that L if glucose status, okay, in, so is the glucose status, what is the glucose status here? Diabetic. So we are saying that if this glucose status over here, in this, so if this diabetic over here is part of the list of strings over here, or the BP status in elevated or high, raise equals to elevated, else raise equals to low. So this is kind of a bit comprehensive, or I mean bulky. But we know, and everything that we've learned previously. All right, so let's run this code to see what we have over here. Okay, so patient equals to Chrissy or say glucose equals 162, diabetic, blood pressure is 158, high, overall risk level, critical, because it is this condition that's satisfied, because the person is first diabetic and the BP status is high. Please, I hope we are getting it. But this one looks for either is elevated or maybe, what is it, pre-diabetic. Okay, so very simple. I mean, very simple to understand. Yeah, so we've come to the end of today's session, and I have a beautiful assignment here for you. And I want to also remind you of the previous assignment under the dictionary. So kindly put your hands to it and work it out yourself. If you have any question, you can contact me anytime, and then I'll be helping you alongside. All right, so that is that for conditional statements, and we've done with that one. If you have any question, you can ask. The module will be uploaded to the class page as soon as the class ends. So you can find a notebook there. Within the weekend, you can pick it, set a time, make a time for it. Okay. So let me just pass this one across. When you are trying to look out for time to, or you want a time to do it, you cannot. You have to make time for it. Okay. If you don't make time for it, you can't make the necessary progress. So kindly try and then make time. Yeah, out of your busy schedules, you one day make time. You go through, you solve it, you rehearse, and it also builds interest, so that you can actually use it for some powerful things. All right. If you have any question, you can ask, and then if not, we have to draw down the curtains and call it a day. Please, any question? And this one, so I will take it as an assignment. So this one, the module challenge, the loan application screening system, I will take it as an exercise. So I'll post everything. I mean the deadline on there, because you're supposed to submit this one on Friday. So I'll give you the deadline. I mean the day that you're supposed to submit on the class page. All right. So please, any questions so far? Do we understand the concept? Please, a feedback. Maybe if you can talk, and then I will do. I will know that I've worked hard today. Yeah, and my work has not gone in vain. Okay. All right. So I think I've had that reaction. All right. So thank you so much, and please kindly do all and then go through. We are building something. Okay. So don't leave some of the blocks behind, because it's going to go a long way to defect your understanding. So the data types, if you find it something difficult, you can just reach out to me, anything that you would like to clarify, or you can visit the notebooks again, go through again once more, to see that your understanding is consistent to what we are building. All right, so thanks for joining today, and I'll see you on Sunday. All right, enjoy the rest of the evening, um, and also tomorrow also, and I mean tomorrow next. All right, so I'll see you on Sunday. Have a good time.